Hi, welcome to another episode of the Paige Doodle Club. I'm Mike Paige, and today we're going to be drawing some tattoo banners or ribbons. You're going to want some pens or pencils, markers, whatever you want to draw with today, and some paper. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. The important thing is that you make your mark. Let's get right to it.
Park Street Books is proud to sponsor the Mike Paige Doodle Club. Find them locally at 504 Main Street, Medfield, Mass. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or visit parkstreetbooks.com. No matter where you are, that's parkstreetbooks.com.
All right, to start off with our tattoo style banner, everything is going to be nice curved lines. You don't want any straight lines today. So if straight lines are your thing, this is not your episode. We're going to make nice rounded lines. Everything will be kind of a letter C, sort of like that. Smushed rainbows, sort of like that. You might already be starting to see the shape of this banner take form. Then I'm going to make another kind of a letter C smushed. And I'm going to come back out. Now, the trick here is to keep this rounded. So you don't want to just make a corner. You want it to be a nice rounded edge. And then I'm going to try to follow this line, but make it parallel as I come across. So ideally, our ribbon or banner will be the same thickness the whole way across. Since my C is at the top on this side, I'm going to make a backwards letter C on the bottom on this side. Like that. And then same thing that we did here, I'm going to come parallel here. And I'm just going to kind of nudge it in the middle and round it off at the top. And again, you don't want any sharp edges. You want it, if you're picturing like an actual ribbon or a piece of fabric or whatever, and you just kind of put in slight smushes into the edges there. You don't want any sharp edges. You can make these ribbons going around something, of course, but for now I'm just going to make the actual ribbon. And I'm going to have it come back, and it's going to be another letter C. If you can make a letter C and a rounded line, you can definitely do this. And you can kind of play with the direction that the ribbon is bending. Usually you want to keep it about the same width the whole time as you go. So if it's, let's say this space is 3/4 of an inch. When I come out over here, I'm still going to want it to be roughly 3/4 of an inch. You might make it slightly smaller because it's further away, but you don't want to have it drastically change. This technique, by the way, is also how I make flags or pennants. So if you're drawing a castle and you want a pennant up at the top, this is basically all you're doing. Just nice curving ribbon type lines. And then there's a whole bunch of ways that we can have the ribbon end. One way is to just have a straight cut. You can also have sort of two tails there like that. Apparently I'm doing two tails on this one because I just did. If you want to be shading this in anywhere that you've got these tight letter C's, that's where the darkest shadow would be. So this would be a lighter shadow out here where there's still some light hitting it. Got to scribble off to the side here because these pens do not like being used at such an upside down angle for this long. But these pens are great because everybody's got one laying around. And you can actually do some pretty nice shading with them. You don't need anything fancy to make a drawing. Just need the willingness to put pen to paper or pencil to paper, whatever, and be ready to make a mistake and keep going. And again, so inside of this letter C, it will be dark again. And then we gradually get lighter on the way out. I'm going to continue making the ribbon on this side before I shade it. So I'm going to make another letter C back here. This is going to be a backwards one. And then I'll just kind of duplicate what I did over here. And again, we don't want any straight lines. Boy, this pen is really not cooperating right now. There we go. And again, I want this to be roughly the same thickness as the front part of the banner. Something kind of like that. And then do the same thing, sort of that split tail on it. And then just like we did on the other side, we're going to scribble in darkest right there in that curve of the letter C. And then lightly transition it out. You can also do this if I was using a different pen. I can show you. You could also do this with a series of lines and just have them start to spread out a little bit further as you go. So they're real close in the C and then they start to spread out. You get the same effect. Some people also like to make little notches in their ribbons. You're more than welcome to do that. So this is one ribbon, and I'll show you another kind of design. You can curve them either direction. So if you wanted it sort of a smiling banner that's curving down, be this sort of thing, and the ribbon would be coming back this way. If you want the ribbon to be a smushed rainbow shape, you'll be going this way. And typically, the curve is going to come downward from that. But you could also have it go upward. The fun thing about doing this is you can really experiment with the shape and where your banner or ribbon would be curving to next. So you can have it curve both directions if you want. You can also have it curve back outward. So to do that, this line will curve to it. So over here we have a letter C, and then we're going to make a rainbow shape into a backwards letter C, and then you'll have the ribbon curling back on itself. I keep calling it a ribbon. You can think of it as whatever you want. It's essentially some kind of fabric thing. So you can keep curving it whatever direction you want. Basically, every time you're curving it, it's going to be either a C or a backwards letter C. Sometimes you start to see, like in one like this, you can see the letter S right here. And again, everything is nice and curved. This line here is relatively straight, but you still don't want it to be a perfect straight line. If you do that, you won't have the same effect. And I think on this one, I might do, maybe we'll add one more curve to it. We'll have it come forward again. And then I'm just going to have the banner kind of come out like this. And then this one I'm going to make, instead of the regular tail like we did last time, I'm going to have another, almost a circle, but it's kind of a letter C there. And we'll have that kind of edge. There's another way that you can end your banner. And then on the reverse side, I'm just going to do sort of the same thing. So again, here is your letter C. And we're going to have that curve outward. Usually you draw it pretty parallel to, or pretty mirrored from the previous side. This one, I forgot to look over there. And I kept it a little flatter on top, so I'm going to round it off a little bit more now. And then it will come into a letter C. So we're just trying to copy what we did over here. Then it's going to come down. I have to change the pens because this one does not want to draw at that angle. I tried to make it happen. It's not happening. So here we go. Then we come up and over. Let's see, from here we're going to need another curve like this, up and over, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to try to round it instead of having like a real sharp corner there, try to round it into that corner. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. And then I'm running out of real estate here. So I'm just going to make the backwards letter C, and I'll start making the tapered edge there, but I don't have room for the whole thing. And then you'll notice right here, I'm not done yet. When you first start making these, you might be going along and you'll be like, this is almost a banner, but something's missing. Usually, it's that right there. In the areas in the back often get forgotten. But anytime the ribbon is curling, you're still going to have a little edge of the flag or banner hiding back there. Again, if you wanted to be shading these, it's going to be darkest at these tight curves where it's curling back on itself. If you really want to start drawing these ribbons and flags and stuff like that, there's an artist named Gerald Tidwell, Jeraltidwell. His banners to me are like the best there are out there. He has a very tattoo style. His typically have a lot of these notches missing as he goes, but the way that he does pennants and banners and flags and all that is second to none. So check him out if you want to get really good at doing those. And then I'm just going to put something in there so you can kind of see how to do lettering if you wanted to add lettering to it. I guess I will write the word doodle. So to do kind of a tattoo style lettering, anytime there's a downward line, I'm going to make 2 lines. If you're making a letter like M or N, there will be a slight exception where only one of those downward lines is going to get 2 lines for it. And then you can either fill this whole area in, or sometimes tattoo style lettering will only be filled in at the bottom, in which case it's usually like red on top. Sometimes it'll have these little added, I don't even know what that is. This is a serif. I'm not sure what you call that, but sometimes they've got those in tattoo lettering. So we'll add those. Those are just tiny little spikes poking out. Since I only shaded up halfway on the D, I'm going to do the same thing on the O. And then our next letter O. And a line down. And we scribble halfway up. And we make those little serif type things. This O, you'll notice, is a little bit smaller. Typically, if I was doing something like this, I would take, if I wasn't using a pen like this or a pencil, I would take a pencil and make a line going across as a guide. I didn't do that. But it's not a bad idea if you're using pencil, make yourself a little guide at the top and bottom so that you're keeping all of your letters the same height. And then the other tricky part is you want your letters to look like they're actually on that fabric. So if I was to draw my letters just going straight across, but the ribbon is curving, it's going to look wrong. So I'm trying to keep the straight lines so that they are perpendicular to the curve of the ribbon. If you're a kid and you're like, I have no idea what perpendicular means, it means you kind of want your vertical lines going up and down so that they would make a T with these lines. So I don't want lines that are going this direction over here. That wouldn't make sense. I would want them at an angle like this, right here. In the middle, I'd want a line like that. Over here, I'd want it at a line like that. If you keep it all straight going the whole way across, you will finish it and say, that doesn't look right. So that is a little trick from someone that has learned the hard way. Then we're going to shade that halfway up again. And again, if I was coloring this in afterwards, I'd probably use red on the top half of these letters. These 2 lines are a little bit further apart than the other ones, so I can tell you already, this L is going to look a little bit wrong. Hopefully I informed you of that before you messed it up as well. I'm going to color in the bottom half. And then we just need our letter E thrown on here. And because I just made these 2 a little wider, I made these 2 lines a little wider in the hopes that they kind of balance it all out. This kind of lettering is really fun to mess around with and try out. And you just kind of have to look at samples of lettering like this. You can look up tattoo art is actually a really good way to learn lettering like this. It's kind of the old Sailor Jerry type lettering. But if you just kind of study the alphabet like this and figure out which letters are different than how you would think to make them, you'll figure it out pretty quickly, and it's not too difficult to get decent at. So this is our tattoo style episode. I hope you enjoyed following along, and don't forget to tune in next time for another episode of the Paige Doodle Club.
Park Street Books is proud to sponsor the Paige Doodle Club. Park Street Books is an independent children's book and toy store. With nothing electronic in the store, Park Street Books encourages kids to read, play, and unplug. Find them locally at 504 Main Street, Medfield, Mass. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or visit parkstreetbooks.com no matter where you are. That's parkstreetbooks.com.